Hi, this is Sam Botstein from MachineSkills.com. Make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube for all of our machine tutorials and check us out at MachineSkills.com. In today's tutorial, we're going to take a look at using an application called Sundog in order to quickly create arpeggiated patterns and chord progressions without needing to know a lot of music theory. If you don't already know a lot of music theory, and if you're not yet familiar with Sundog, don't worry. This is not a tutorial about either of those things. It's a machine tutorial. We're just going to take a look at a way to quickly create things using tools that go way beyond what is available to us by Machine's somewhat limiting piano roll. Here are some of the chord progressions that we could come up with Sundog. It's simple but very effective. And here is an example of a simple arpeggiated pattern we could make with Sundog very quickly. The sound that we're using, by the way, we created in last week's tutorial. I'll make sure to include a link in the description below so that you can find how to make it yourself if you would like. With Sundog, it's really easy to sequence some chords or some arpeggiated patterns and then switch up the scale that one is using in order to create more different and out there things. And all this without necessarily needing to know music theory very well. So I like this progression a little bit better than just a, 1, 4, 2, 5, 1 in C minor. We have this really out, augmented fifth at the end, and all I had to do was use the same chord progression and just switch up the scale that we were using. So let's take a look at Sundog. They have really great setup tutorials on feelyoursound.com to set this up just right. But essentially, the short version of it is on a Macintosh computer in your applications folder, in your utilities folder, there should be an application called Audio MIDI Setup. It has two windows. It is the audio window, which is super useful, but not for us here today. And there's the MIDI studio, or the MIDI window, and in it there should be something called the IAC driver. You have to just turn it on and then have at least one port. And I've renamed a port to Sundog Out. Then in Sundog and its preferences, our MIDI out device is IAC driver Sundog Out, and that's all I had to do to make it work with Maschine. Essentially, what we have when we open a new anything in Sundog is we have this little area to play, like a piano. And we have different scales from which to choose. I'm going to choose a minor scale for C minor. We're going to stick with this 4 bars length, and before we mess with anything, we're going to just look at the chords. What's really nice is you don't even need a keyboard to use this, although you can use it with a MIDI keyboard. Your just regular computer keyboard will automatically map the number keys to 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. And it's going to be these big, bold chords that are just regular parts of the scale. These are all of the rest of the chords that you could use, and they're all available. If you know how to use them, that's great. If you don't know how to use them right away, if you're not up on your music theory, this is still a really awesome tool to learn that stuff. So just try with me pressing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 and hearing those chords. We're going to come up with a super simple pattern. We're going to start with just C minor on this first beat. Then we're going to go to 4, I know, shocker, then to 2, and then back to 5. And then it'll bring us back around to 1. So that would be C minor, F minor, D minor, and then G minor. Let's hear what that sounds like. We could go ahead right here and just take this MIDI out and drop it into Maschine, and that would be all we needed to create a little pattern here. Now, you'll notice that the voice leading is not really happening for us. Basically, everything is in root position, meaning the base of the chord is on the bottom. So, you know, we have C here and then F here. So what we could do is we could hold down Option and then press the down arrow key 12 times to make a perfect octave, to bring it down and make this voice leading a little more natural. I know that this isn't necessarily the best system out of the box, but again, the reason that we're using an application like Sundog and Maschine is that Maschine's melodic sequencing is very limited. So that was easy enough. We came up with a chord progression really quickly and easy. We know what it is, even if we're not great with music theory, and it only took a couple of clicks. Let's go back to Sundog and click Use Chords, and now create a simple arpeggiated pattern that we can use over those chords. Now, this might be a little bit of an intimidating method to use at first, but what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and change from scale notes, which will be all of the notes in C minor, to just chord notes, which will be all of the 3 notes in each of those chords that we picked as this sequence progresses. So we're going to have C minor here, F minor here, and so on. Now, essentially the way that this arpeggiator works is you can move the pitch up and down. If you leave it blank like this, or this little dash, it's going to have a sustain note. And if you put a little hashtag here, it's going to stop. So as you can see, it's really simple to build a pattern. So I like that well enough. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and hit record, and then just hold down this button right here, this C3 button, and just record that MIDI sequence. So you'll notice that Sundog is a really useful tool. It actually changes these notes out from under us while we're just holding down that note. So all we needed to do to get this MIDI out of Sundog and into Maschine is click and drag. So let's go ahead and create another scene. And all we have to do is click and drag this MIDI icon here over to the piano roll, and here we have our arpeggiated pattern. Now, it's straightforward to actually look into this scale menu, which has a huge drop down of lots and lots of scales, including melas and ragas. We're going to choose this raga here. You'll notice that we didn't have to re-record anything or change anything. If we look in our chords, the chords will be different, but the sequence will stay the same. If we wanted to take this MIDI out, again, we could just repeat this process. again, we may want to do some voice leading, meaning make the jumps, not as jarring, and to try to avoid some parallel fifths if there are any. And I would just do that by moving around the notes by an octave, as I showed earlier. Now, not only do the chords change along with the scale, but our entire sequence, which has the same little pattern here, is going to change along with it. And again, all we need to do to get that out of Sundog and into Maschine is click and drag. So I hope that this is a tool that will be able to help you sketch out melodic ideas much more quickly and easily. Let me know in the comments if you checked out Sundog and it was really helpful for you. Check it out at feelyoursound.com, and make sure to check us out at machineschools.com, and make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube for all of our Maschine tutorials.